Welcome back, students. Today we are going to start with the next topic of your chapter number 2, that is concept and components of investment. Before starting with the deep concept of investment, you must know its definition. The definition of investment can be written as it refers to capital formation or increase in the stock of capital. That means whenever we use our resources in buying any kind of capital or for increasing the stock of capital in our production unit, that will be referred to as investment. So I is equal to delta K. I over here means investment, delta means change, and K means capital stock, which means investment is equal to the change in capital stock during an year. If any addition is there in the stock of capital, it will be referred to as investment because we will be spending our money on the purchase of any kind of capital goods, which will further help in the generation of the income. Next, there is a line that indicates these goods may be used either for replacement of existing stock or for adding to the existing stock, which means that the capital goods which we may purchase may either be used for the replacement of the worn out assets or either for the addition to the existing stock of capital, which will actually increase our capital stock. Next comes the components of investment. Basically, there are two components of investment. The first one is the fixed investment and another one is the inventory investment. So under fixed investment, it refers to the increase in the stock of fixed assets. Now what do you mean by fixed assets? Fixed assets means any kind of property or any kind of asset which is used by any producer for generating income or for using in the further process of production. Therefore, the fixed investment refers to increase in the stock of fixed assets during an accounting year, or it can also be defined as increase in the stock of capital, and capital over here means fixed assets which are repeatedly used in the process of production for several years, which means that this kind of investment will lead to the generation of the assets or the investment in the fixed assets which are used repeatedly, that is over number of years in the process of production. On the other hand, here comes the inventory investment. Before that, you can take any example of the fixed investment like purchase of any machinery during an year or purchase of any kind of building or any fixed asset which you are purchasing and which asset you will use in the further process of production. Now over here comes the second component of investment, that is inventory investment. Before that, you must know the meaning of inventory. Inventory basically means the stock, and that kind of stock may include stock of finished goods, stock of semi-finished goods and stock of raw material. Basically, the finished goods are the goods which have crossed the boundary line of production or are ready for the consumption. Semi-finished goods are still in the process of production, and the raw materials are also known as the inputs which are used by the producers for making the finished goods. Therefore, the inventory stock includes these kind of goods or inputs, and change in inventory stock during the year will be known as the inventory investment. If we talk about fixed investment, it is the change in the stock of fixed assets, but under inventory investment, it is the change in the inventory stock during the year. And inventory stock basically includes the three types of goods, that is finished goods, semi-finished goods and the raw material. Now next topic is the significance of fixed investment or the importance of fixed investment. Now, what will be the benefit of making investment in the fixed assets? It will lead to the rise in production capacity of producers. For example, I as a producer have purchased 2 machines during a year. If I was having 5 machines earlier and those 2 machines added to my capital stock, so the total machines came up to be 7 machines. Therefore, I can produce more with the help of extra two machines, which will raise the production capacity of the producer. Now, if the production capacity is increased, it will further lead to the higher level of output. Output means the production or the products which are produced by using the production capacity. Therefore, with the increase in the production capacity, the level of output will also increase, and as we know that GDP, that is gross domestic product, depends on the total production being done in an economy during the accounting year. Therefore, the higher level of output will further lead to the high rate of GDP growth. So this was all about the significance of fixed investment and how we can calculate fixed investment. It can be calculated as stock of fixed assets at the end of an year minus stock of fixed assets at the beginning of an year. For example, I was having the stock of machines as 10 at the end of the year, and in the beginning of the year the stock of machines with me was 8 machines. So therefore fixed investment will be equal to 10 minus 8, which is equal to 2 machines. So therefore I invested my resources on the purchase of 2 machines, which will come under the fixed investment. Clear? Now next one comes the significance of inventory investment, in which we will study the importance or significance of having the stock of raw material or the finished goods. Firstly, what is the significance of raw material as inventory stock in the production unit? First one is uninterrupted supply of inputs to the producers, which means that there will be regular supply of the inputs to the producers, because with the help of inputs they have to make the finished products. If the input will not be available to the producers, they may not be able to produce further goods and services, which will stop the supply of the various products in the market. Another importance is that it avoids day-to-day purchases from the market, or uncertainties of market are avoided, which means that if we are purchasing in bulk the raw material with us, it will lead to the avoidance of day-to-day purchases from the market. And obviously there are some kind of uncertainties, like when I'm going to purchase raw materials in the market, it may not be available over there, or the prices may be too much high, because of which my cost of production may also increase. So therefore what I will prefer to purchase the raw materials in bulk beforehand only, so that any such kind of problem must not be faced by me. So this was the significance of the raw material as the inventory stock. Now comes the significance of the finished goods. Basically the finished goods must be stocked with us as inventory stock to meet the future or potential demand for their products. If by chance the demand or the aggregate demand in the economy increases a lot, to meet that kind of demand we need to keep the stock of some finished goods. Clear? You must also know that how to calculate the inventory investment. It can be calculated as closing stock minus opening stock, which means inventory stock at the end of the year minus inventory stock at the beginning of the year. This is how you can calculate the inventory investment or the inventory stock. Now next comes very much important topic, that is actual inventory stock is further divided as desired inventory stock or the undesired inventory stock, which means that we might be having stock, but some of that stock or the units may be undesired by us. For knowing that concept, you must be very much clear with what do you mean by desired inventory stock and undesired inventory stock. The desired inventory stock is also known as the planned inventory stock, which the producers have already planned of producing in the coming year. On the other hand, the undesired inventory stock is also known as unplanned inventory stock. The desired inventory stock is kept with the producers to meet the future demand, but undesired inventory stock is the situation when actual demand of the units or the products is less than the expected demand. Now for that we will take an example. A producer expected to sell 10,000 units. Clear? If you as a producer is expecting to sell 10,000 units in the market, but there was lack of demand, because of which the actual sales of your product was only 8,000 units. So the undesired inventory stock over here will be 10,000, that is the expected one, minus the 8,000 units, that is the actual sales. So what comes over here is 2,000 units, which is the undesired inventory stock, because you as a producer will always think of selling all the products you have produced in your production unit. But there might be some kind of undesired inventory stock left with you that may further lead to the losses. Like over here also, this 2,000 units leads to the losses to a producer, as these units remain unsold with the producer. Therefore, we always say that actual inventory stock is basically of two types, that is desired, which is the planned inventory stock, and undesired, which is the unplanned inventory stock. So as a producer, we will always desire to sell all the products which are produced by us during an year. Now here comes the concept of gross investment. Basically, gross investment refers to total production of capital goods during the year. Therefore, the production which is done by the producers but of capital goods during a particular year is known as the gross investment. Gross investment includes net investment and replacement investment, also called depreciation. Now, what is net investment? It refers to the capital goods used as a net addition to existing stock. For example, I have purchased 3 new machineries, and those 3 machineries are adding to my capital stock. For example, earlier I was having 5 machines in my production unit. Now I have added 3 new machines, that will be known as the net investment. On the other hand, the depreciation or the replacement investment refers to the capital goods which are used for replacement of existing capital stock, which means this replacement investment or depreciation is the part of gross investment which is done for replacing the existing stock of capital. For example, out of the 3 machines I have purchased, 1 machine must be purchased by me for replacing the worn out asset or the depreciated asset. So that will be called replacement investment or the depreciation. Therefore, from here we came to know that gross investment includes net investment as well as the depreciation, which is also known as the replacement investment. So here comes the formula of calculating the gross investment. It can be calculated as net investment plus depreciation. And from this formula you can calculate the net investment, which can be calculated by subtracting the depreciation from the gross investment. Therefore, the gross investment is a wider term and net investment is a narrow term, because gross investment includes depreciation but net investment excludes depreciation. Therefore, we used to say that net investment is always used in calculating the GDP of a country, because it tells the actual addition of the capital stock during an year. Now we will study the significance of net investment or the importance of net investment. Basically, if we are investing in the capital goods for addition to the existing stock of capital, it will lead to the increase in the stock of capital, or also known as net capital formation, which will further lead to the efficiency of the labor, which means that when the number of machines or the stock of capital is more, the per unit availability of the capital goods with the labor will be more, which will increase the efficiency of the labor. That means the output per unit of input will increase, and further it leads to the generation of employment opportunities, and further the rise in production capacity of an economy will be there, and further ultimately it will accelerate or increase the GDP growth of a particular economy. Therefore, from this we came to know that with the net investment, the stock of capital increases, or also known as net capital formation, which further increases the efficiency of labor, employment opportunities, production capacity, and ultimately our main motive, that is of the GDP growth. Clear? Now next comes a very important point over here, that is only net investment leads to addition to the stock of capital, but depreciation, that is a part of gross investment, only replaces the worn out fixed assets, which helps to maintain the existing stock of capital. Which means that in gross investment, as we have studied, it has two parts, that is net investment and depreciation. But only the net investment leads to the actual addition of the stock of capital. On the other hand, the replacement investment or the depreciation only replaces the worn out fixed assets. That means the assets which have been used for several years and now their value has been depreciated, and for replacing those assets we may purchase any new asset. So that will come under the depreciation or the replacement investment, and it only leads to maintaining the existing stock of capital but not towards the addition. Therefore, net investment is of more significance than the gross investment, because we ultimately need the net addition to the existing capital stock, which will lead to the increase in the GDP growth. So this was all about the concept of investment. Now in the next video we will study about the concept of depreciation as well as the expected and unexpected obsolescence. Thank you so much.